Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for clicking on this video. I want to talk about a topic that I have personally never heard anybody talk about. I have never seen anybody else make a video about this. If any of y'all have, because I'm sure they're out there, please feel free to comment down below so I can check those out. So dating with a disability. Now, those of you that are new to my channel, I was born with a rare condition called albinism, which causes me to be visually impaired. It causes my hair to be white, and it causes me to burn out in the sun like a french fry. I started dating when I was around 14. That was kind of when I started getting interested in boys a little bit more. Before that, I don't think boys liked me. I didn't have my first boyfriend until I was in high school. Of course, everybody made fun of him for dating me because he was dating the blind girl. So, you know, he's one of the only people, I mean, he's never going to see this. So, he's one of the only boyfriends or people that I had ever had that stuck up to their friends for me when they were making fun of me. To this day, I don't know that any of the boyfriends or people I've dated have ever done that for me, but cheated on me, so who cares? So anyway, so I just kind of wanted to share some of my experiences. I have, of course, dated people I've gone to school with, dated people, you know, I've met in real life. I've also dated online, and stuff like that. And this is a really important topic because this is something, like most people, we want to find our significant other. We want to, you know, maybe get married and have a family and stuff like that. And this is like a natural part of life. And it's not like anybody, you know, tells you when you're a kid and disabled, like, oh, hey, by the way, like when you get with someone, you're going to have to explain to them how your vision works and how, like, you see and blah, 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 blah. You know, you always hear, like, at least in my case, my mom would always say, oh, you know, when you get older, men aren't going to care about your vision. They're not going to care about that. They're going to care about you for you and blah, 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 which has been the case. Most mature men, most mature people are not going to look at you just as your disability. They're not going to look at just that. They're going to look at you as a whole. But there's a lot of immature people out here, let me tell you. I'll kind of talk about my last relationship because that was the most, first of all, the most healthy relationship I had ever been in thus far, and the most intense, and the one where I felt the most loved in. He's probably never going to see this video, so, but I'm not going to use his name. So my last relationship, which ended last July, we had actually met on a dating site. We were both on Bumble, which is embarrassing, but you know. Whatever. Sorry, I'm so horrible at telling stories. I just go everywhere, but whatever. I'll get better eventually, right? When we had gotten together, we were talking online for a little bit, and we ended up going out to eat and, you know, just talking about ourselves and stuff like that. At the time, I wanted to be a physical therapist, and he was an EMT, so I was like, dreamboat. Oh my God. Anyway, we moved very fast in our relationship. Very, 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 very fast, which in hindsight, I know was probably why we broke up. So knowing that he was an EMT and like in healthcare and loved anatomy and blah, 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 was artistic like me and just a very kind, genuine soul. Like I felt right off the bat that I could tell this person like anything. You know, the moment I met him, I thought like this was my person, and you know how that is. And if you don't know, well, it feels very good. Anyway, I think I ended up telling him on our second date. Our second date, we ended up going on a hike somewhere around here. And, you know, I had to wear my hat and sunscreen and stuff like that. And I told him, like, you know, I burn and stuff like that. And I ended up telling him, like, you know, I'm visually impaired, blah, 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 blah. So I like to wear, like, my sunglasses when I'm in the woods, even if, like, it's not sunny out, because I don't want to get a stick in my eyeball. I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but, like, I'm always paranoid I'm going to walk past a tree and a little twig's going to get me in the eye. So we kind of talked about it, and he was so kind. Like, he just listened to me. He heard me. He was curious. He asked me questions. I told him, like, you know, there's no cure for this. You know, I can't see very well. I can see well enough to drive. My vision's just different, you know, all that typical stuff. I don't remember what I told him, but anyway, I told him about it. And throughout our relationship, I mean, he did stuff like that I had only dreamt of before. Like, you know, just simple things. Like we would watch movies and he would read me subtitles, or he didn't mind like cuddling with me in bed and watching stuff on my iPad or my phone because he knew I could see it. Anytime we went out to eat, you know, he'd always offer to help me. You know, if we were playing games, he would help me if I needed help, like reading a card or something, or We played video games, and he always made sure everything was closed for me. And what else? The one thing that I really loved, we'd go out hiking a lot. And I have horrible, like, depth perception. And so, walking, like, every time we go on a hike, I would literally twist my ankle or sprain my ankle or do something to my ankle because, it's a rough terrain. I'd always step in something. So he would always walk in front of me, and he would always, like, reach his hand back and, kind of guide me like a little guide dog. So I joke about him being like my guide dog. All in good, all in love, because, yeah, we had fun with that. And that was so sweet. Like, he always just wanted to make sure that I was safe, like, in any situation. Like, if it rained, he would tell me because he didn't want me to drive in it. Or, if I was scared to drive somewhere, he'd always offer to drive. Granted, he didn't have a car, so we only had mine. But anyways, that's, like, the best relationship experience, like, I've had with regards to my vision. Before him, anybody else I had dated, they perceived it as something I was insecure about, which I was at the time because I was younger, 24 and below. Actually, I was single for a while. So it was when I was like 22 and below. The two people I had dated before that, they fed off the fact that I was insecure about it, and they didn't do anything to really try and help me adapt or anything like that. And I feel that, and those two people treated me horribly, by the way, but that's another story. Has a lot of stories. They never, like, really tried to understand, and when I would explain to them about my vision, they would just kind of, like, I don't know, it felt like they didn't hear me, or they didn't understand that there wasn't a cure. Like, they just were adamant on, like, oh, there's something you can do, there's got to be something you can do, and it's like, okay, no, there's not. I'm telling you, I've had this my whole life. Like, no. They didn't care about any of that stuff. Oh, another thing. So the one guy I was with that I felt like actually loved me, a month into us dating, we had gone camping on the beach with his family. We were camping on the beach, right, in Port Aransas, which the sun is just insane there. It's just like the sun on steroids. I don't know. So, being out there on the beach, I had my hat, and I had my UV clothes, and I had, like, my sunscreen and stuff. We didn't have a canopy or anything. We just had tents. But this guy, our second day there, he was, like, hunting around with his brother-in-law, like, looking for stuff. I'm like, what are y'all doing? And come to find, my boyfriend at the time, he had found, canopies. Like, a bunch of people had canopies out there, like, the cheapy ones that you can get at Walmart, and, like, all of the wrought iron parts were left over because, like, the wind was so powerful there that it would blow them over and, like, rip them up. And so all that was left was, like, the metal legs, and he had collected a bunch of them. Brought him back to our campsite. He had, like, this, he was in the Navy too, so he had this little, like, it was like a little shovel that was, like, compact, and he opened it up, and it's a big shovel. And I saw him, like, digging a big hole in the sand, and I was like, what are you doing, babe? What are you doing? He's like, oh, just let me do it. Just let me do my thing. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing? Come to find he dug this big pit. I'm like, honey, are you digging us a grave? Like, are you gonna kill me out here? Like, what is this? Then he took, we had a cheapy air mattress with us, and he just started cutting it. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, what are you doing? I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm making you some shade. I'm like, you're making me some shade? He literally, like, freaking literally, like, grabbed a bunch of stuff and literally made me a canopy in the sand because he didn't want me to burn. He literally, like, cut this mattress up. He literally, like, took like the metal legs and stuff from the canopy and, like, put it around, like, the hole. Like, there was a big pit that he dug. Like, this is the pit. And then around, like, the top of the pit, he put, like, the iron things. And then he put the mattress over it that he had cut up and, like, spread apart and, like, put over it so that we could hang out, like, in the little dugout part. And I was like, oh my God. I wanted to cry so bad because I was so, like, just taken back by the fact that he cared about me, like, so much that he didn't want me to burn. Granted, this was a month in, so, honeymoon phase. But, I mean, he had spent, like, hours digging this big hole. So, and he dug it so deep, we literally got cold in there. Stuff like that, it really pulled at my heartstrings. In hindsight, I think, like, I don't even know if he really did care or if he was just trying to pull at my heartstrings. Probably because I told him, like, I want to be with somebody who cares about this part of me too, and, like, cares about my health and my safety and things, which, like, don't do that. Don't tell guys, like, what you want, because then they're going to put on this act, like, do all those things to be Mr. Perfect, and you're gonna think they're doing that on their own accord, but they're doing it because you gave them your playbook telling them what you want. But anyway, he seemed like he was perfect, but unfortunately it didn't work out. When I was like online dating and stuff, I went through a couple phases where I was online dating, which I know isn't the safest thing, but whatever. I lived in this town for a couple years and I didn't really have like friends, and you know, plus me and my ex broke up, so any of the people I knew like were not friends anymore. So I had to kind of start over, and you know, the pandemic and blah 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 blah, so I started online dating. And you know, anybody I went on a date with, there were a couple where I felt like kind of disclosing and telling them about my vision, just because like if we're at a restaurant and it was hard for me to read, like, you know, I wanted to use my phone and use my camera to kind of read menus and stuff, but at the same time I didn't, because I was like, I don't want to have to explain to them, or I don't want them to think I'm weird because they don't know what I'm doing. And anyway, so some of them I just flat out told them because I felt like it was okay. And I mean, I've gone on lots and lots of dates, all right? I'm not really proud of it. Got me some experiences, but a lot of them I would rather not have. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, most men, they seemed curious about it. I've had a few that were like, oh, like kind of immature about it, or just asked way too many questions, or like seemed off put by it, but that was far and few. Most men were like, just like, oh, okay, cool, what is that? I've never heard of that. Or they pronounce it wrong, albinoism, blah, 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 which I hate. That's so annoying to me. But one thing to keep in mind, like if you are dating, or you're new to dating, or whatever, like just be careful with who you tell that to, because people, there's such a stigma around the term visual impairment. Like people think when you say that you're blind or whatever, and that's not what it means. It can make you a target, and unfortunately there's a lot of women that are disabled, or especially visually impaired, and they get in relationships with men that are, you know, they end up being abusive and taking advantage of them, because society sees it as a weakness. They see if you have any kind of disability that automatically you're weak, when in fact we are stronger than most people, because we have to deal with more and work around with more. But that's just not how society sees it. We haven't evolved yet, clearly. This is just, it's a topic that like I don't think anybody really talks about. And you know, I feel like most of us, especially women, like, you know, like myself, like I'm approaching my 30s. I don't want to just date to date. I want to date somebody. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to have a family. And, you know, just like with every instructor I've had, or any friend I've had, you know, that's a good friend, like any boyfriend I've had, like, you know, you always have to explain yourself and explain your vision. It gets exhausting. And at the end of the day, it's like we all, everybody, I think disability or not, like everybody wants somebody they can come home to and just feel like safe, and like they understand me, and they don't care that I'm visually impaired. They don't care that I have albinism and I can't be out in the sun that long. They don't care. Like they just love me for me. We all want that. And so part of like getting that is, you know, allowing that person in and having them like get to know you, like, and try to get them to understand your vision to the best of your ability. Like I tell like anybody I've dated or any friends I've had, like the more you're around me, the more you'll be able to like see what I see, if that makes sense. You'll be able to like tell like, oh, okay, like she has issues seeing this, or she puts this closer to her face, or whatever. I try to like be vocal about it too, so they understand, because some people want to understand because they're just nosy and they just want to know about you, but then other people want to understand because they genuinely want to know like how they can help, or what you need help with, or whatever. The ex I was talking about earlier, he would go with me to like my workforce counselor appointments, and he would ask questions. Like he was genuinely like curious, and he even went with me to one of my last low vision appointment and asked the doctors about stuff. And I thought it was a really good like learning experience for him to come with me, you know, so he could actually like, you know, when they have you do the test where there's the letters far away and you got to read them and stuff, I was like, look, you're gonna actually be able to see like how far I can see and like how small I can read, and you know, ask the doctor questions. And that's something I would suggest too. If you're with somebody that you love, you're with somebody that, you know, you could see yourself being like really serious with, have them come with you to a doctor's appointment, an eye appointment, or something like that, or join in on a support group meeting, or you know, look at the albinism community page, or things like that, so that they can kind of see, you know, what you're dealing with, see what other people with your condition are dealing with too, and just kind of let them in a little bit. I know it gets exhausting. It is so mentally exhausting to keep, like, especially like me, because I've had so many relationships that haven't worked out, obviously. So it does get exhausting, but at the same time, like, at the end of the day, like, I want to be with somebody who loves me for myself, like for Krysta as who I am, and albinism is part of who I am. Being visually impaired is part of who I am, and I want somebody who understands that and cares about that. So I guess just like that's my little spiel. I don't know. I don't want anybody else out there with a visual impairment who's trying to date or whatever to feel alone in this. There are plenty of people that are visually impaired or cognitively impaired, all the kinds of impairments, that are married and happy and loved, and they have a family, they have a good support system, and that's possible for all of us. But if you're having issues with this, just know that you're not alone. It is very frustrating, and sometimes it is hard to find people that just genuinely understand or want to understand. And some people just choose to stay in their ignorance and they don't want to. So this is a part of you. This is not all that you are. You are not just albinism. That's not all that you are. You are a person who has a rare condition, and that makes you very special and unique. And we'll talk more about embracing that in another video. But this is a part of you. And I think it's really important for us to be with people that really want to understand and love that part of you. And I know that that's out there. I know that that's possible because I've experienced it once, but I have experienced it finally. And I was losing hope that there was, you know, men out there like that. But there are. You really do. You want to be with somebody that's going to love that part of you as well. Anyway, guys, well, that's my little story for today. I have plenty of other, I have dating horror stories too. But anyway, guys, I'll see y'all in the next video.